Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you some more CNSL Season 6. Really looking forward to this match. Had actually a couple really great ones, especially that second game in Group A with ArtUser getting that amazing base trade victory over IcaruS. But now he is going up against Skey. I think Skey played very, very well. I actually, you might recall, Skey versus DuGu, I was getting a little bit confused. I was like, how is his build working so well? What is this? I actually went back and re-watched it and studied it a little bit, and he was actually skipping a few SCVs to get a heavier Marine count out. So he was a little bit weaker economically, but like very safe and able to possibly put on pressure. He didn't that game, but an interesting take. I like to see players kind of stretch out on their own and try something that no one else is doing. And that certainly describes what we saw from Skey in his first game in this group against DuGu. But he's playing against the player who, I guess you would definitely say that ArtUser is the player with the most experience in the group. Not to say he's necessarily the best player in the group. We'll see about that. Obviously, it's best of one, so there's a little bit of variance there anyways. But ArtUser, you know, he's been around a real long time and continues to play pretty well, as you saw in that match against IcaruS. Our map is Dark Origin, pretty popular map currently. Definitely comes down a lot to containment type strategies. Very hard to exit your bridges. Yeah, it looks like pretty standard openers, right? Hatchery first, barracks expansion. So nothing too out of the ordinary. Big thanks, by the way, to CasterMuse for putting on the CNSL Season 6. Absolutely loving this tournament. So many great high-quality games. Really interesting ones as well. And it's just great to have tournaments, like, between, you know, all the tournaments that go on, basically, right? You get basically all the good pro gamers playing consistently, right? So, like, for instance, CNSL is specifically the best players who didn't qualify. Well, sometimes it's like the foreigners aren't necessarily, the non-Koreans aren't necessarily the best, although some of them are very good, like DeWalt and Mihu. But it's like basically the best players and some of the more exciting players that didn't qualify for ASL going at it. And then, of course, you have ASL, right? Which is, well, that's all that's all the world's very best players. But not to say that these players aren't really good and all can take games off of those other guys as well. So it's just nice. It gives you a higher variety. You know, that's something that I've always found, like, almost sad in a way in some of the other scenes. Like, if you look at, for instance, Warcraft 3, or I used to be a big Quake 3 fan, and you get down to these really limited pro scenes where it's basically the same guys finishing in the same positions almost every tournament. And while that can build the storylines quite a bit, I like the variety of having, like, a deeper pool of pros that the actual rankings of them can change pretty significantly. I think even in, like, Korean StarCraft 2, you kind of see that with GSL, right? It's kind of there's a little bit of movement there, but kind of the same set of players getting to the same spots very often. And not to say that that doesn't happen in Brood War some as well, right? Like, Flash wins a lot of ASLs. And you get a lot of people kind of hitting the same top four again, but you get my drift, right? Like, I like this wider array of pro gamers. You get a lot of fresh ideas this way. So anyways, Skey's SCV has stayed alive for a really long time. He's seen this is a, you know, a 2-hatch opener. It's obviously going to be Mutalisk. 3rd hatch in main base. Okay, this SCV has been worth its weight in gold. Over here, of course, he's gone into 2 barracks. There's his academy, started in plenty of time. We'll see if he actually goes for, if he's cut a lot of SCVs. I wasn't really watching the build at the beginning, but I know all the numbers now of what he had in that previous game. So, yeah, no, it looks like it's going to be a pretty standard one, actually. Yeah, he's going to have, like, this is like a pretty normal 2 racks Academy Rush. He's going to have 8 Marines along with the 2 medics. He has a higher SCV count than he had against DuGu when doing this as well. Spire is about halfway done. We should see the Marine move out, I would imagine. Like, especially against ArtUser. I think when you're playing an aggressive Chinese pro, like he was in the first round, you're more likely to be like, okay, let's do something a little bit safer, right? A few more Marines could save my entire game, and I'd like to give up the SCVs for that. Whereas this, he's kind of nailing that 5-minute move out with the 8 Marines and 2 medics. And as you can see, ArtUser is not going to screw around against this. He knows that this is enough to kill him if he's not careful. So he throws down the 2 sunks. One is just barely not going to be ready, so he makes the evolution chamber. This screws up the AI significantly on the Marines. Now, oh, the Marines come up to try to save the Overlord, but he can't do it. The supply block, well, it's pretty real right now. 34 of 35. Stims, and he's going to go. There's only 2 Marines, so he decides, you know what, we can do this. And he is right. He can knock this down, but the mutas are about to pop out. So if they're out wow, that guy just did not want to attack. If they pop out before the Sunken's dead, it can go pretty wrong, but he nailed this. He nailed this. Skey with a very aggressive call there. The mutas will be able to clean this up. Like, our Zerg player is not dead. Let's see if he loses very much here. No drones lost so far. No mutas lost. 1 muta lost. Okay, so he lost his 2 sunks, and he lost a muta, and he killed off that Bioforce. Didn't really lose drones. He did lose this Overlord. The Overlord was pretty darn painful and helped the other damage to occur. But it's okay. I think this is all fine. And look at this. This is so smart. He actually spread his mutas. I wish I had zoomed out quicker. But he spread his mutas in an arc to check the whole map. Because the best tactic after something like that is having Marines on the side of the map. And when the mutas fly to you, you stim them in because you killed the Sunkens. And you killed the Lings, right? That was the prior defense. So if those aren't there and the mutas go across the map, you can stim 3 Marines in and win the game off of that sometimes. So ArtUser, he knows this type of tactic. He cleans it up. There's still 1 Marine out there, but 1 Marine isn't going to do anything. The drones can kill that. And now ArtUser begins his harassment. A little bit later than he could have otherwise, but definitely a good call there. A good safety maneuver that probably saved him this game. Taking a look down at his base, we have that +1 on the way. His drone count is pretty healthy, and it is continuing to grow. Skey's worker count really good, 38 SCVs, adding some more. He has 3 barracks production, pretty good turrets as well. Kind of interesting turret style. Really well placed, honestly. Looking at that, I think I'll steal that placement. Really, really nice. This one is pretty solid as well. And that's good. It really good. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that I haven't that I don't really know much about Skey. Haven't seen him in many tournaments or any tournaments. Like, these are really my first games watching him play. But I feel like really good fundamentals from him. Seems like a good understanding of what needs to be done. Good decision making, at least in this matchup. Wow. That was a lot of, like, I wasn't commentating it because I'm like, this is going to end. It's not going to keep going. But he actually reduces that Marine count pretty significantly. Some of the mutas die as well. We have the double starport coming up. He actually doesn't have enough room for add-ons here, so this one's going to have to lift to, like, some awkward position like that. Armory coming up. So, yeah, it's going to be Valkyrie tech. Hydra's Den on the way. The Hive has already started. Mutalisk count has been repopulated. So yeah, there's 1 add-on, and he's, I don't know, it's going to fit somewhere in here. I think right there it fits. Really annoying when your stuff doesn't fit right in your main base. Terran buildings are very gangly compared to the other races. All right, so the mutas continue to harass heavily. Skey has lost so many Marines at this point. You can see that ArtUser is actually ahead in supply, which is not a common thing to see. But he is spending a lot of Mutalisks to be able to do this. Now, more mutas are coming out. He has his 3rd base up now, getting that gas going as well. A few more mutas going across the map to help this smaller group. Lurkers and Hydras on the way. But 2 Valkyries are going to be coming out. So as those Valkyries, excuse me, come onto the field, the Mutalisks are going to be almost useless at that point. There's not that many left. They don't have like a +1 carapace or anything like that to help fight against the Valkyries. They're just not going to be very good. So even though he's reduced the Marine count a lot with them, like, total map control is coming to Skey just momentarily. He's being extra careful right now. Comes up. He's going to be able to knock out this Overlord. Trying to be a little bit careful with those Valkyries. And here we go. Map control now goes to Skey for this portion of the game. A lot of Hydras coming up. Needs to get some lurkers ASAP. Like, Hydras are not going to be able to fight against this. This army beats everything he has until those lurkers are done. All right, the Valkyries get some very clean shots off, taking no damage there. Look at this. Eggs on the ramp. He stims by the other ramp. This ramp does glitch a couple of his Marines, but he gets in here, skips over the lurkers. The Valkyrie's chasing down the mutas. Skey is going to hit the natural. We don't have these Sunkens ready. Oh my god, the Valkyrie actually gets caught over here, so the mutas will be able to slow this a little bit. Now the Valkyries can kind of go to town on Overlords. The lurkers coming up and burrowing. One Sunken remains. What a tight defense and a tight attack. And he's even going to knock out those Valkyries before a supply block. Holy crap. This was an insane set of things that just occurred. Dude, if you don't think this is the best esport watching things like that, like the egg block slows him, he goes over here, he sees the eggs, he doesn't know the perfect time, he comes down here, he attacks into morphing Sunkens, the mutas come over and sacrifice themselves to slow him while the lurkers come up for the flank. Are you kidding me? Insanity. Where are we at in this game? Let's take a look. Double Starport Science Vessel. We have 6 barracks. 3rd Command Center just started. SCV count 48. Good stuff. Good stuff. Has the map control still as expected. Barracks floating down to give him some extra vision. This points towards just pure SK Terran. If he sends the science facility as well, yeah, he does. So this is going to be nothing but Vessel Marine Medic from him. He has no, like, he's not going to change that at all. There's going to be no siege tanks. There's going to be no battle cruisers, nothing like that. He's just going to irradiate like a crazy person. Now, looking over at ArtUser. Solid defense overall. He's got his defilers. His drone count really good, up in the 40s. Evolution chambers are up, getting plague, additional macro hatcheries. Not a terrible spot. Like, he's got enough right now to hold on, and he's going to be building up towards more with a very standard type of play for a map with this many base, or the base layout like this, sorry. Right? We've talked about it a lot, especially when commentating Eclipse, that you'll get these additional macro hatcheries because there's no easy 4th base. So you need to make extra units, kind of fight for map control a little bit, and then take your 4th base. So right now, Skey spreading out. He wants to protect these bridges. Don't forget there is this back path, but he's got an SCV to watch for it. Okay, he wants to see if anything comes out through here after mining these minerals or whatever. In the meantime, trying to reduce some vessels. Good job there by ArtUser. The rest of Skey's army roaming around a bit. Notice the factory just watching. There's nothing really that hits air at this point. Like, he might send a couple Hydras, just put a clock on it. But you want to be making lurkers at this point as well. Oh! Hydraless speed. And he will have seen that. So now is a hard decision. Your factory is way over here, but your opponent has Hydraless speed. Hydraless speed points us towards a Hydra Lurker Defiler composition. And against that, truly you do want siege tanks. It's very, very, very difficult to kill, which means the Zerg is going to have opportunities where they might be able to do some counterattacks with a very beefy army. The Hydras plus Plague really whittle everything down for you. It's a very cost-efficient composition as well. So he may want to float this back and get siege tanks, but that's going to be a bit late. In the meantime, double dropship coming in. Skey has set up an additional base. Look, he's adding factories. So he does want to switch into those siege tanks now. This factory being so far out of position does not help him with that. It's going to be a while before he has any large amount of siege tanks. If he had left this at home, it would have been a much smoother transition. Like, he'd get siege really quick. You know, you basically start the add-on as soon as you see that, whereas he has to start factories and then make add-ons and then start making siege tanks. But yeah, anyways, I think that's a really smart play from ArtUser, especially seeing the factory down there. The factory, and of course this science facility as well, really screams that he just wants to make vessels and Marines and medics. So Skey loading up a little bit. Decent little group of units here. He doesn't have a defiler there, but he's moving this over specific. Oh, he accidentally irradiated a Zergling. Moving this over specifically to try to take a 4th base. But he's going to have to rally a lot of units up here and start picking off these vessels. He's plagued some of them. So targeting those down with the Hydras is going to be key. Just zoning everything with Hydras is key as well. If they try to come in for radiates, you bring your Hydras forward to pick them off. And honestly, they pick them off really well. And Hydras with range deal a lot of damage very quickly. So can't quite go up here. Just enough defense for ArtUser as he tries to take his fourth. This drop over here didn't really catch it, but that's okay. It doesn't look like it's actually done anything. That was stopped pretty well. Small group of units down here, still kind of watching for anything trying to sneak out. Still holding those bridges as well. So right now, he's got real control over this area, but there's a staging area here where we might see attacks from ArtUser move down this ramp towards Skey's base. No, ArtUser wants to do it the hard way, man. Trying to push over the bridges right now. Throws down some plagues. Darkstorm goes up. Does have to pull back. You know, this type of composition, this strategy from Zerg does require a lot of plague usage. You want to plague things over and over and over. You know, Marines and Medics are supposed to beat Hydralisks, but once they've been plagued, the Hydras, it doesn't matter that they have explosive damage. They one-shot everything as it goes down to 1 health. A little bit of a counterattack coming out. Really great upgrades right now. 2-2 for Skey. He is getting +1 for his factory units. This other factory looks like it's just going to burn down. So just 2 factory siege tanks at that third base going to be producing. We'll see where he wants to put those tanks. Getting a fair amount already. Is he going to try to hold the center? Is he going to make an outpost like this and hold the center with bio? It's honestly very hard to say. And by the way, this is a great move that we see from ArtUser. When the Hydras start zoning out vessels, you feel like you should irradiate them, but then you just turn them into lurkers, and the eggs don't take damage, so they live through it. Okay, this is a good bust. Nothing really here to stop it. He didn't have enough lurkers up here, so Skey going to kill the fourth. This is a huge moment of the game. The game was like going pretty reasonably for both sides until this hatchery just went down. And look, he had enough to stop it. It just wasn't in the right spot. So now ArtUser being punished quite a bit. There is a little bit of a counterattack on the fourth base, but the fourth base is not crucial for Terran like it is for Zerg. All these vessels getting deep red. Oh my god. You can pick those off so easily. Ah! They do fly back. Hopefully we can see some more targeting there. Throws another plague down, gets another healthy vessel with that, as well as the Bioforce. Lurkers, a little bit sloppily sent forward there. Skey having some really great macro, I have to say. Like, mechanically, he is looking very, very sharp. Keeping his upgrades going, pretty good unit movement, producing a hell of a lot of troops. Keeping his money pretty darn low for how much income he has. Sending groups out around the map into crucial locations. Really great stuff. ArtUser, in the meantime, again, losing this base, this is what really turned the game completely into Skey's favor. Right now, this is a tough position. Like, you need the fourth gas. Okay, so plenty of gas there. Okay, well, we do actually have a little over 4 minutes left on this geyser, so that's good. This geyser is just about out. So he's about to go down to 2 and a fourth gas, right? So, yeah, think about like a two base Zerg. That's how much gas he's going to have for the most part. Makes it a little bit tougher on these pushes. Wow! Oh my gosh. Some real destruction there on that Marine army. Everything getting blown up in a matter of seconds. ArtUser going for an attack despite having a very low supply right now. He's almost doubled, but with those Dark Storms, sometimes it doesn't matter. Siege Tanks moving over maybe into a defensive position here. Vessels coming over. You got to be careful not to fly them near any Hydralisks or they'll be taken out extremely quickly. Meantime, a lot of Siege Tanks coming up, trying to help push this area. ArtUser gonna delete the tanks that got to the high ground. Just enough here to splatter the Lings before they cause any damage to that tank line. Ooh, a little bit sloppy here. And that fourth base may be taken down once again. He hasn't really been able to mine from it, see? tough, tough spot. Yeah, I think that's going to end up going down. And, like, ArtUser at this point, like, he's really far behind. He's really far behind. This is a tough position to win from. You notice he's adding more and more Zerglings in because his gas bank isn't there anymore. He is supplying up a little bit. His upgrades are okay. We have 3-2 over here. 1-2 and 1-2 upgrades. Plague going to be absolutely essential. Comes out into these siege tanks. Really, such a fantastic position there, helping to guard this bridge as well. Stims forward with some of these. You just back up against these Dark Storms. Looks like ArtUser should be able to kill the tanks off, or at least most of them. The Lurker under that Dark Storm going to push him back for the most part as well. Oh, man, trying so hard to kill these tanks. Look at that, 19 kills. Can't quite get it. I guess this one Lurker will end up finishing it off. Fourth base has come back up for Skey. Okay, a nice pickoff. Like, he's reduced the vessel count some. That's for sure. Don't forget that Terran can get into economic trouble later on as well. Let's take a look, right? Out of minerals, out of gas, out of minerals. 3 more minutes of gas there, approximately. No, this is healthy. Healthy. And new, right? Obviously, it's a reduced geyser here. But yeah, you know, there's still a little bit of play here for ArtUser. He's hitting good plagues. He's killing off armies relatively efficiently. The radiates are hurting. If he could reduce the vessel count a little bit more, that would be huge. More siege tanks coming down for Skey, though. And we're right on the brink of death, I guess, of not coming back here for ArtUser. A number that I like to point out a lot, although it's... Basically, if you're on Defiler tech and you have 70 supply, you're still alive. And there's always a chance for some sort of comeback there. But he is just on that line. He's been jumping up and down around 70 quite a bit. The siege tanks spread out, the great upgrades, the vessels still roaming about getting irradiates. All of this making it very tough. Hydra's trying a counterattack. They absolutely can't do it here. Much, much weaker than the forces defending this base. More radiates being cast over that bridge. Look at that plague and irradiate on a Hydra. Turns into an egg, so he's fine. I love it. That's so funny looking. I don't know. I've never seen that before, so I'm just kind of laughing about it. Anyways, it looks like he does pick off some more vessels there. The Dark Storm goes down. If he could get one more Dark Swarm... Like, the thing is, as soon as you come out from underneath that Dark Swarm, it's just not working anymore. The Marines chew through those Zerglings that have inferior upgrades. Yeah, Skey has really put on a beautiful game. He's looking poised to finish this group in first place, which is not exactly what I was expecting. I was kind of thinking ArtUser, just because I know him better than the other players, that he's a bit more, you know, known overall. But Skey, honestly, I feel like he's made a fan out of me here today. Definitely some great TVZ plays from him. Now, a lot of fire bats being made, and this can roast just the very small amounts of units that are trying to hide under Dark Storms, but actually that micro from Skey definitely a little bit off. He's picked off the hatchery once again. That fourth base, just a dream at this point. And I think that we're just going to have to see GG. Like, I mean, you've lost the fourth base again. 3 minutes of gas, empty, empty. So we have 1.5 gases right now for ArtUser. That's not enough for anything. You can't afford anything. You notice, look at his production tab. Zerglings, Defilers, that's it. But as soon as it gets this late in the game, you just add a lot more fire bats into your army if your opponent is so gas starved. And the Lings have the worst time. All right, another scan there. We're going to just take out these Lurkers. Wow, those were some insane spines right there. Well, okay, he's going to try to break these tanks once again, as he is starting to mine from this area. Unfortunately, more Marines coming down and joining the fray. The long-distance mining not going to keep it up, and Skey going to advance in first place.